first time that I'm aware of in this case. I'm calling Billy Jack Links a suspect in Morgan's abduction.
For the first time in nearly 3 decades, authorities announce a prime suspect in the 1995 disappearance of Morgan Nick.
Right now, we are following new information in what's being called a major breakthrough in this case. THV 11 News at noon begins right now. And we start the afternoon with a remarkable breakthrough in a kidnapping case widely known across the state and the nation. After nearly 30 years, police confirm a suspect linked to the disappearance of 6-year-old Morgan Nick.
THV 11 bringing you that press conference live from Alma in Crawford County a short time ago. Police announcing that evidence collected by the FBI has resulted in a direct link between Morgan and a man who has since died, Billy Jack Links.
THV 11's Rebecca Brown attended that meeting, witnessing the announcement firsthand. Rebecca, what more can you tell us about this new information we just learned about an hour and a half ago?
Good afternoon, Hayden and Karen. Alma Police Chief Jeff Pointer announced today through new DNA analysis that hair was found in a truck that once belonged to Billy Jack Links. That connected to the Morgan Nick case. Now, as we know previously, Links was one of the early persons of interest in the case. He is a resident of Van Buren, Arkansas, and Links was arrested on August 29, 1995, roughly 12 weeks after Morgan's disappearance. He was arrested for sexual solicitation of a child, and police questioned Links about Morgan, but he denied any knowledge of her abduction, or investigators moved on. However, on September 27th of this year, detectives learned through new evidence testing that hair contained in the evidence matched to Helene Nick, one of her siblings or her children. Police saying today this is strongly indicating that Morgan was in Link's truck at some point. But for Helene, this was the news she needed to hear to find peace of this situation.
And what I have to say about Billy Jack Links is that he stole Morgan from me. He stole her from her dad. He stole her from Logan and Taryn. But he didn't see that he could never win. Because our love for Morgan, her memory and her voice outlasted his life.
Billy Jack Links died in prison in 2000, but police said this still makes him the only suspect in this case. Investigators said they will keep on pursuing this, and this will continue to be an open investigation. And if anybody has any information, to please reach out. Live in Alma, Rebecca Brown, THV 11 News.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. And of course, we will continue to follow this developing story tonight. In the meantime, we have everything you need to know right now on THV11.com. Rebecca, thank you for that live report.
On this first day of October, we're seeing lots of sunshine out there, heating things up very quickly. Here's visual satellite. Got some clouds across parts of the region in the Ouachitas. It's 86 right now in Hot Springs, but 88 in Little Rock. Notice the cooler air in North Arkansas. Temperatures are into the 70s. There is a cold front that is sweeping through the state at this time, and with the winds, those winds will be picking up from the northwest as the day progresses along. We could see wind gusts as high as 20, maybe 25 miles per hour, especially in the higher terrain. But before that front arrives, temperatures I think will climb up to 90 degrees here in the metro and also down into South Arkansas. And look what happens tonight. That cooler air filters its way in here from the north and northwest, and down the numbers go. That certainly looks like more like a fall forecast. Temperatures starting out into the 50s, 40s into the Ozarks. I'll let you know if we'll have any more mornings like this over the next several days coming up.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Turning now to continued coverage regarding a fight for clarity surrounding an ATF raid ending with the death of former Clinton Airport Director Brian Malinowski. Just yesterday, the State Senate Judiciary Committee laid out more questions before multiple state and local agencies. So far, investigators have been transparent about why they had Malinowski on their radar. But questions over why his home was raided remain unanswered.
Why did ATF do X, Y, or Z? Their answer was, well, you'd have to ask ATF. But the follow-up question might have been, why didn't you ask ATF? Because you were supposed to investigate this killing, and you don't know the answer.
Now, yesterday's hearing ended with barely any new details, but the Malinowski family is moving forward with plans to go after the FBI for a wrongful death.
THV 11 is your election central, and with only weeks to go before early voting begins, we've learned the amendment to expand medical marijuana has reached a dead end.
Yesterday, Secretary of State John Thurston shared the new update, saying the push was not able to garner enough signatures, making it ineligible for November's ballot. The intention behind the amendment sought to grow the list of which conditions qualified for access to medical marijuana.
The group behind the measure insists they exceeded the required 90,000 signatures needed to allow the public to determine its fate. But the Secretary of State says there was an issue with how the signatures were collected for the petition, meaning the measure is no longer valid.
And the question that became presented in a variety of these ballot initiatives was whether or not the paid canvassers, the supervisors of the paid canvassers themselves, could make certain certifications, or if that duty was non-delegable from the person who had submitted the initial ballot question. And that has not been resolved.
Secretary of State John Thurston says his decision is final, barring any new instructions by the Arkansas Supreme Court. 12:06. We are hours away from the vice presidential debate as Democrat Tim Walz and Republican J.D. Vance square off for the first time.
Jared Hill is in New York City ahead of tonight's debate for a preview of what we can expect.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz landed in Newark, New Jersey this morning ahead of tonight's vice presidential debate. It was only 5 weeks ago that Vice President Kamala Harris asked him to join her presidential ticket.
He's someone that will call things as they are. He coined the phrase to describe the Republican ticket as weird. So it's not like he won't throw some punches.
Senator J.D. Vance arrived in New York City yesterday. Representative Elise Stefanik was on CBS Mornings and said she expects Vance will connect well with voters.
I think tonight you're going to see J.D. Vance tell his story, which is an extraordinary personal story only in America, but he's going to speak to those issues that matter to the American people.
A new CBS News poll finds that a majority of voters think neither man is qualified to be president, though 65% of Democratic voters say they are enthusiastic about Walz. Just 49% of Republicans feel that way about Vance. Historically, a vice presidential debate has not moved the needle much, but this election may be different.
We know that this is a very, very, very close race. You have maybe 5 or 6% of the electorate still on the fence, still undecided, and little things could push them in one direction or another.
Here at the CBS Broadcast Center, security is incredibly tight. You have to have an ID and credentials to get onto the street and the sidewalk in front of the building. Also, Secret Service this afternoon will do a sweep of the building. Once on stage, the candidates will get 2 minutes to answer a question and 2 minutes to respond, with an additional 1 minute for a rebuttal. Unlike at the presidential debate, the VP candidates' microphones will not be muted when their opponent is speaking, though CBS News does reserve the right to turn down a microphone if needed. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
And breaking news this afternoon, Israeli troops have crossed into Lebanon. It comes after 2 weeks of heavy bombing targeting Hezbollah's leadership. Now, the Israeli military says it will stay close to the border for now, as further into the country are tens of thousands of Hezbollah militants. Now, President Biden has called for a ceasefire, but there is a concern that action could trigger a larger war in the Middle East. In fact, there are reports of missiles over Jerusalem as we speak. Now, Israel says they are determined to seize the momentum of the war, saying the best way to de-escalate this war is to win it.
Here at home, now to one of our most viewed stories on THV11.com. The Searcy community is rallying around a beloved business owner badly hurt in a car accident that killed his wife. The owner of a martial arts studio, Master Farfan, is in a hospital today, while friends, students, and family wait for word on his recovery. Many children in Searcy attend the JoJo, popular for its instruction and the loving discipline by Farfan. Right now, a friend is working to keep the business up and running.
We've got some little minds and little hearts that need to wrap around their idea on there that he will get better and come back, just as strong.
With Master Farfan still in recovery, black belt students are stepping up to lead classes in his absence.
Meanwhile, communities across the southwest part of the country are still recovering from Helene, the southeast part of the country, rather.
Correct. And reporter Skylar Henry takes us through some of the hardest hit areas to show us how people are coping with the aftermath.
Food, water, and other essential supplies arrived in Swannanoa, North Carolina by air Monday afternoon after Hurricane Helene left hundreds of streets and highways in the region impassable.
My daughter is down in Marion and she's safe and stuff, but she can't get up the mountain.
The state's Department of Transportation says all roads in the western part of North Carolina should be considered closed to non-emergency travel.
Getting around communities in western North Carolina right now is actually kind of difficult, just based off of the roadways that are muddied up, blocked off, people trying to clear up. They have their work cut out for them.
On Monday, we saw aid workers in Swannanoa handing out hot meals to those in need.
Thank you so much.
Robin Howerton told us the help can't come soon enough.
This town is devastated and we need help. We need food.
This video, taken last Friday, shows just how high the floodwaters reached in Swannanoa, only leaving rooftops visible. Pat Harris has lived in the area for 6 decades.
This is devastation. Devastation. It's the worst I've ever seen. And I'm 80 years old.
The raging floodwaters were so strong they wedged this car into the side of a house.
I've lost everything, pretty much. Just, these few items, it's all gone.
You can see it come through here like a river.
Anita Crowder's father lived in this house until he died. She buried him just last week. Soon after, Helene tore through town, flooding his home and destroying many of his belongings.
It must be tough.
It is, to see everything he worked so hard for destroyed.
Yeah.
It's hard.
FEMA officials tell CBS News that they will be delivering 20 truckloads of food and 40 truckloads of water to North Carolina every day. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Swannanoa, North Carolina.
Well, just ahead, replicating the moon could mean new advancements for astronaut training. Just ahead, we break down what scientists are doing in their latest experiments.
And a front is moving through, but it's not going to provide any real chance of rain out there. And we have new burn bans in effect. Yell County is the latest to be added to the list. I think more burn bans can be expected over the next 1 to 2 weeks. I'll explain why that is the case coming up.